17th session. Started, I guess, a couple of years ago. And the idea is to bring distinguished, accomplished leaders to campus, allow students and faculty to meet with them, get their insights, learn from them, and maybe aspire to be like some of them. Because here students are very driven, they're focused, they're hardworking, they want to be successful in later life. And who better to learn from than successful role models? So that's what we are going to do today. Let me acknowledge, to start with, presence of Mr. Razak Dawood, one of the founding fathers of LUMS and currently the Pro-Chancellor. As well, Mr. Shahid Hussain, Rector of LUMS, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Arshad Ahmed, and all the distinguished guests. So the format today, and Jahangir Piracha and I had a call last week to prep for this. But what he said to me is, I like to engage with young people. So we said, okay, our normal format is a little more formal, and we have the structured interview, and then we have the Q&A. So we thought we'll innovate a bit and mix it up. So that's what we plan to do. But to do that, we need your collaboration. We need your active listening, because what I'm planning to do, if it works, is that in between the conversation, we'll take pauses and invite comment and invite questions, just to make it a little more natural and let the conversation flow. Jahangir Saab said, let's keep it informal, not too many rules and structures. That's what we're going to do. So Jahangir Saab, welcome. Let me briefly introduce you. Jahangir Piracha is Chief Executive Officer of ECPL, Engro Chemicals and Polymers Ltd, which is part of the Engro Group, which is a diversified conglomerate in Pakistan, has been around for decades, and we'll get into that discussion as well. He's a chemical engineer by training. He did his management training at INSEAD. He's pretty much headed every subsidiary within Engro. I looked at his CV. He's also on the board of the foundation. He's on the board of country clubs. He's on the board of energy companies in other parts of the sector. So he's very diversified. He's very accomplished, and we are privileged to have with him here today. So if you would like to join us, we'll get started. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's our pleasure. So I'm going to refer to my notes briefly. As you can see, they're all scripted. So I thought we could structure the conversation in three broad buckets.
Okay.
We start with your personal journey, because that's of interest to young people today if they want to aspire to be like people like yourself. The second part is your professional journey. What challenges you went through, what did that journey look like, and what lessons there are for young people. And then the third part is really open-ended. Anything that they want to ask, you said you're comfortable with having a very open discussion with people. So if that's okay, we'll get started.
Absolutely.
Great. So let's start with the personal. Tell us about your early life, because I mean, you only became leader recently, right? But you had a life, you went to school, college, you grew up somewhere. Share that with us.
So I'm the firstborn son of a Air Force officer who was a fighter pilot, and so when you're born in that sort of family, you're moving around quite a bit. So early part of my life was well, the early recollections are an air base in Karachi, Mauripur, and then Sargodha and I think Peshawar, and so you moved around quite a bit. And one of the things which you learn in this life is that you're changing schools, you're changing friends, and you have to adapt very fast. So that was one part of life which actually impacts you. Second impact, which was very profound, was death also. So death was a very key thing which you saw. Your neighbor, your best friend's father dies in a crash, and your mother and parents have to go and tell the mother, and you're a child, you're confused. So death was also quite visible at a very young age. And that impacts you, but it prepares you also. It hardens you also a little bit. So that was also part of growing up, and also moved around, lived in Pakistan. My father was eventually posted as Pakistan's defense attaché in Turkey, so we lived in Turkey for a number of years, learned a new language, made new friends. So a lot of change in that part of life, and a lot of sports as a young person, stress management, which I tell a lot of young people. So when my both sons were in university, the first thing I used to ask them, what is the exercise you did today? How are you managing your stress? And so that's one thing which I've always managed well. Not lately, because I had COVID and I've not been going back to the gym and exercise, which I am very regularly be doing. But I mean, that's one of the things which I learned from my youth, that exercise, sports actually also is good for your health, but it's also how you manage your stress levels. 3 siblings, so a small family, very strong influence of mother. So women had a very profound impact on my life, all life. I had a very, I would say, influencing and motivating mother.
Influencing as a euphemism.
And then I was very lucky to marry a wonderful lady, and who's really been with me all these years. And I think probably wherever I am today, I think she has played one of the most critical parts in that.
Right.
I mean, I think I wouldn't be where I am today if I was not married to Maria, who's still with me, and I'm very happy. So that also makes a big difference in your life,
No, thank you. I think thank you for sharing that.
So always, I mean, it's a great point for young people. Marriage, when you marry, compatibility, and how do you sort of move forward, and how your life will pan out is an important point also to think.
Yeah, and behind every great man stands an even greater woman.
And behind a greater woman will always be a greater man also. So it's equal. It's equal now. It's no more that way. This is not politically right statement anymore.
So first of all, thank you for sharing that so openly about your personal life. So I think number of life lessons there. You learned resilience, you learned mobility, and you learned intercultural competence, the whole Turkish experience. And I think those are all great things to have in business, especially in the global economy. So let's talk a bit about values as you were growing up. And the reason I say this is because here, we really take pride in the whole value system that the founders started, and then we carried on through the decades, and we pride ourselves on teaching, inculcating the value-based behavior in our students. So talk about your youth and how did that influence you?
So integrity, I take it as number one. I mean, I think it's like basic hygiene. I mean, I don't even say it's a value, because if it's not there, then everything else falls apart. So integrity has to be extremely high. Trust is another one. I mean, I don't know if it's a value, but I feel that you got to be trusted, and you need to be trusting people. So that's another one which I've always realized from my young age, that these are kind of things which are important. And other than that, really things which have really helped me move forward is sharing of knowledge also. And when you share knowledge, somebody is also giving you back some knowledge. So some of those things then later helped me in my professional journey also, and personal life. So integrity, I think it has to be number one. Absolutely, there is no doubt about that one. So that value, if you have it, will make a big difference. If you believe in trust, then teamwork becomes extremely important. And then you realize that everything cannot be done by yourself. So you trust in people's abilities, you trust in bringing in people who can add to that team's strength. And last but not the least is always open to ideas also, open to new ideas.
So trust, knowledge, integrity, and sharing of information. So as you were growing up in an Air Force environment? Any pressure on you to follow in your dad's footsteps?
Well, I think initial part was no pressure. I mean, my mother never wanted me to go. I can tell you one thing. So, I mean, yeah, I think probably I wanted to be a pilot actually. I mean, you see it day in day out, you know, and it sort of inspires you. But I don't know, somehow at the time when I was making career decisions, and I have a very influencing mother. She kind of said, "Yeah, doctor ban jao, ya engineer ban jao." So I went in that direction probably, and I was not very good in biology. If there are any biology students, so I took the engineering side, and maths was good for me, you know, and that's where I went.
So that's the reason I brought that up, is because we have a lot of young people here, and the choice of career, as you said, Dr. Banjao engineer, that was the old model, right?
Yeah.
The old
Nowadays
paradigm.
everything is-
I don't know if this generation really practices that, believes that, or are pressured, but this would be a good time to pause and get some reaction from the audience. And maybe if you want to ask Jahangir some questions about that, or how you made your own career choices. Anybody would like to participate? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Which was the greatest motivation for being an engineer? At least chemical engineer.
So I was good in, so to be honest, I'll tell you, I was good in chemistry and I was good in maths. So I think I could crack engineering. That's probably was one of the thinking. And I didn't have too much inclination towards civil engineering, the buildings, anything. So chemistry kind of fascinated me because a lot of things, when you make compounds, you're making something new. Whereas a lot of engineering, at times, we associate with fixing things. So when I was a young person, I said I will go into an engineering which makes new products or new things, rather than, you know, I'm talking very layman and I don't have anything. I mean, I'm sure there are electrical engineers, civil engineers, but civil engineers do build things. So that's why I sort of said, but generally impression when I was young about electrical or mechanical was that they fix things rather than make things. So that's the mindset I had. And chemistry, I thought can bring lots of new products which can change the world also. So that was kind of young 16, 17-year-old boy could think, you know. So that was the motivation. So that's why I went in there.
And was it first choice or?
It was my first choice. It was always first choice.
Okay. All right, so let's move on. So your company, the conglomerate as a whole,
Okay.
not just ECPL, it's so diversified, right? And I was looking at the website, and I find that it touches and impacts the lives of ordinary Pakistanis in so many different ways. You're in energy, you're in power, you're in chemicals, in food, in nutrition, in telecoms, etc. That's an awesome mix. Talk about that, on how your leadership at the group level, how you deal with that and the responsibility that comes with it.
So I think that's a very good question. So, I mean, obviously it's an evolutionary thing, you know.
Right.
Engro started as a pure chemical fertilizer company. When Exxon divested, it was basically very much in the chemical area. One of the thoughts when the diversification question arise was that what are the real, you know, big things or alignment with Pakistan which we can find.
Right.
So large population, a very large population, lack of infrastructure, you know, power was a problem. So you said indigenous resourced, indigenous fuel based power, not any power. So that was one of the drivers. That's why we went into Thar and actually developed that project, and that's based on indigenous fuel. Infrastructure, we are in terminal businesses. That was primarily brought in not as an infrastructure play, but to support the promise that Port Qasim Eastern Zone will become hub of chemical industry in Pakistan, which never actually happened. But that was the vision, that this area behind Pakistan Steel Mill will have hundreds of plants and chemical, what happened to Jubail or other places. Thought was that this will be a major cluster. Never happened, but at least we and a few others did put up, plants there, and it got developed. Uh, Fertilizer's legacy business. Polymers was started as one of the first stepping into the petrochemical space, and the idea was that we'll go into other petrochemicals, and that journey is still going on. Didn't really pan out the way it was thought about, but still it's happening. And now very recently, I think the telecommunication towers company which they're bringing in, and I think with 5G, obviously the number of towers will be phenomenally high which are required, and I think it will facilitate the growth of this connectivity if the infrastructure is built by somebody else, and the telcos really focus on bringing in the connectivity part of it only.
And what's the connection with milk? Because you're in the milk business as well.
No, we were in milk business. We
Yeah.
kind of a little bit divested out of it.
Right.
Now that company is owned by Friesland Campina,
Okay.
which is a Dutch company,
Dutch company.
and 51% owned by them. An idea of divesting out of that business was primarily because food R&D is the big area where unfortunately Pakistan does not have too much of a strength. We don't have nutritionists and food technologists which can develop new food products. So idea was that you bring in somebody who can bring all that knowledge to Pakistan and then expand that business. Engro on its own was not able to go beyond a few products.
Mm.
So that was the idea, and I think we got a great partner in that scheme, and they came in and I think invested with us, and they own that business now.
And maybe I can push back a little. You talked about Thar, and I presume you're talking about coal.
Absolutely.
And we have environmental engineers here as well, and they might want to take you up on that.
Yeah.
In the 21st century, is it a good strategic choice to invest in coal?
So I think going forward, I personally feel that renewables are going to be the real big push, but you still need base load. Now, how do you transition, and what would that base load be? The nuclear power plants? Do we have the capacity and financial strength to put today that base load of which is substantial? I don't remember the number, but it's a substantial base load which you need through coal. And coal might be a transitionary thing for us. Eventually, yes, I feel you would have hydel, you will have solar and wind specific area, and then you need nuclear power plants if you're going to wean away from. I was in a conference, then now there is a lot of push coming even to miniaturize, and US has that technology because they put it in the submarines actually, and so the US submarines are powered by nuclear reactors which are miniaturized. So there's a lot of talk now about miniaturized, small, even captive for industry, 50 megawatt or 100 megawatt nuclear power plants which run petrochemical complexes. I was given a number which I don't know if it was right. I think it was Chevron's CEO, and March at the petrochemical conference, you said, if you want to only power with solar the petrochemical industry in US Gulf Coast only, you need 5 states of US to just have solar panels, nothing. And that is the kind of area you need. So the push from this industry now is miniaturized, captive nuclear power plants. Now they have obviously the technology. We don't have that luxury right now. But eventually the technology will catch up and they will be available to us. Obviously with nuclear, people have other apprehensions about accidents and safety. But if you really look at three I think major ones, accidents in the last let's say 70 years is not a very big number. You don't give up aviation or something where you had a lot more people dying, or on the roads also.
So I guess the underlying point is that leaders make pragmatic choices and there are trade-offs. But I would like to invite the audience at this stage. Young people are more idealistic. Do you guys have questions for Jahangir Saab on this issue of coal or some related issue on the environment? Go ahead.
My question is more of the R&D capabilities. Is Engro mostly a company that sees a viable market, brings in foreign expertise and proven products, and then just launches them at scale in Pakistan? Or do do you actually invest in your own R&D capabilities, create new products, and then launch them in Pakistan, like you were talking about food nutritionists and such? I'm guessing the primary sort of bottleneck was a lack of qualified personnel.
I think you're answering the question
No,
yourself.
like across others.
I mean, across Pakistan, if you really see, and we were having a discussion just now, how much of an R&D are we doing? You know, I mean, hardly any R&D is being done in this country. You know, so do we look at proven technologies, bring them at least to Pakistan, and ideally, a lot of technology at times only is not even available to you unless you make a joint venture with somebody to do it in Pakistan. So our approach has been wherever possible, you know, bring in products which Pakistanis need, produce in Pakistan, create human resource, create capability in the country. I mean, all those are pluses which you are actually creating, and eventually, yes, if we can create collaborative, you know, environment with academia where R&D can be done, definitely, why not? But deep research-based new products, I think thousands of years of academic time and maybe millions of academic time has already gone into lots of in Western world, and I think even China is struggling in that area. We know that. I mean, deep innovative products, China is even struggling. So it's a linkage, it's an ecosystem which gets developed over let's say 100 or hundreds of years. We haven't, you know, so the West has really, where West is right now is post-Renaissance, you know. It's not just this. They changed the whole narrative of how societies will live and prosper. We never had a renaissance in our part of the world, you know. We're still sort of, and I don't want to go there, but I mean, it's a different narrative altogether. Mm-hmm. Why certain societies flourished and why didn't the others didn't, you know. Probably everybody started together. So that ecosystem, unfortunately, does not exist right now in Pakistan as we stand.
And I think your point about China is valid. They used to do a lot of reverse engineering, and that was the one of the reasons for their success. But of late,
they must have.
They've really stepped up their game, particularly like financial payment solutions and digital currency and wallets, etc. So they're becoming more and more innovative and cutting edge.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I was shared a number very recently in a very private, you know, by a very renowned Pakistani economist, and he was saying that one, and I don't know the numbers, what we shared with us was that every 8th Pakistani is going for a higher education. Okay, every 4th or 5th Bangladeshi is going for higher education, and every 3rd Indian was the number he shared with you. So look at the numbers. I mean, the sheer chances of, you know, change. We are a step behind even in the region we are. I mean, we are probably worse performing in all these things on parameters which will help innovation, which is education primarily. Bangladesh, and now we don't even compare with anybody else. We even compare ourselves with Bangladesh. We are lagging behind.
So gross enrollment rates in tertiary education in South Asia, the lowest in Pakistan and Nepal. Everybody else is ahead of us. Let's come back to your professional journey.
Okay.
So we look at leaders and you read their CVs and their career trajectory looks linear, right? But in reality, maybe that's not the case. It's more zigzag. Okay. What was yours like?
No, so I would say linear to a point, and then it just went zigzag. And I don't know where it went all over the place.
And it was by design that it went zigzag or by default?
So I would say risk-taking is always by design. Nobody can force you into roles which you don't want to do. So you have to take risk. And at times these risks are not immediately rewarding also. So you might give up a promotion and take a role which is totally new, and that's a difficult choice you have to make. I had to make those choices at least twice in my career, where a promotion I had given up, I went for a better role, and which kind of so financial reward and I say ego massaging which comes with every promotion was given up, and I took certain roles which helped me And I really feel if I had not done those, I would not have been where I am today.
Right.
So if you really look like it's a test match rather than a 2020, you're out there, hitting every ball for a six. I think in a career, if you have that approach that, you will have to stand on the wicket, and I'm giving because everybody understands cricket in Pakistan, and just face some balls, and that might not result in runs,
And I think that's a great segue for us to invite audience reaction again. Particularly, I'm looking at business students who are aspirational, who are in a rush to become CEO. There's a journey involved. And so go ahead, ask your question.
Right, sir.
Sir, I appreciate TSDSP.
He's at the business school.
Okay.
Sir, my question is, अभी जितने भी CEOs आ रहे हैं, Elon Musk हो गया, Mark Zuckerberg, billionaire, सारे engineering field से आ रहे हैं. तो सर हमारे business वाले पीछे रह गए हैं, क्यों?
पीछे नहीं रह गए.
सर
Putting you on the spot.
सर हार्डली हमारा यहाँ पर एक मंथ हुआ है और इतनी ज़्यादा स्टडी है और इतना टफ स्केजुअल है कि रातों को 2-3 बजे तक हम लैब्स में बैठे रहते हैं.
So I'll try to answer. देखिए, जो engineering, a young engineer is expected typically to fix a problem which is today's problem. Okay. So an engineer, when he starts his life, he's put into roles where he's looking either on projects or problems which are very, very, I would say, short term. For a business graduate, when you come into the roles, believe you me, your assignments would be more of looking at the future of the organization. Now, I can see this more profoundly because I've done both roles, And so what I see, the exposure of a business grad at a much younger age is much higher than engineer would ever have about the business. So a mechanical engineer would know how to fix a pump, which if it is running will give you a certain production, which will then be sold as a product somewhere. However, as a business graduate, you will look at much bigger problems of the business. Why it is not translating into success, I don't agree totally, because I think probably equal number of people are from the business graduates or engineering, and it depends on individuals. The other thing is that I think one has to be open to learn new things, because the career is not, this tag of business grad or an engineer becomes irrelevant, let's say 5, 6, 7 years in a career. You don't know where you're going to go, I mean, so once you're in, you perform well in one role, people test you in another role, you perform well, and you don't know that you end up with an engineering role, or eventually you're in a totally different, you might be a business grad ending up in HR, and you might realize that this is a great place where I would thrive. So as such nahi hai, aisa koi, I personally feel that is not there, but I find that younger business grads have a much higher analytical ability and understanding of the overall how everything works versus engineers. They don't have. They learn it later part of their careers probably. You come with a very big advantage in a business, in any for-profit company, I would say. Very big advantage.
और दूसरी चीज़ आई थिंक कि आप पिछले 2-3 साल का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड देखें, हमारे इकोसिस्टम जो है टेक स्टार्टअप्स का जो इन्वेस्टमेंट आ रही है बाहर से, इन्हीं में से निकलेंगे इलॉन मस्क और क्या नाम है उसका, जकरबर्ग, हो सकता है आप ही हों. सो डोंट गिव अप. सो लीडरशिप की जब हम बात करते हैं तो नो मैन इज़ एन आइलैंड, राइट? So I'm sure along this zigzag circuitous leadership journey, you had help. We know your mom helped, your spouse helped, your family helped. Who else was a coach or a role model or an influence or a mentor for you? And what is the importance of that in the leadership journey?
So multiple people, in fact, and some of them were seniors to me and some were juniors to me even.
Really?
Yeah. So one of the things which, I mean, before I go to the mentor, I can tell you from my life story is that I became so you start as an individual contributor and you become a manager. So I became a manager and a father about same time. Father in a sense that, my son was born, but I became a manager when he was of an age where I could see him do things now.
Right.
And one realization immediately hit me, and I've shared it with some of my colleagues also. And it was a very profound moment for me. And it was absolutely such a profound moment that, it was life-changing for me. And I realized that this young Shahryar, my eldest son, could do things much better than me. So then we believe in, evolution or not, but he was designed by nature to be smarter than me. And it was so profound. And here I'm also supervising some young people now. Now when I judge those people, I have a different lens. I'm not ready to believe in science or whatever you call that they are designed to be smarter than me. I have more experience, but they will learn much faster. And I think that was so profound that I started really firmly believing that people who work for me, if they are younger, obviously, they are more smarter than me. And that really changes the whole relationship now. Because now you are saying that when I go to people who work for me, they are more smarter than me, they can do things better than me, and if given the right push, and my experience, if it helps them, because experience is the only thing I bring to them, they can overperform. And as a team, when you are working, generally in Pakistani environment, it's very rare, and those things also happened with me later part of my career, where a lot of senior people were reporting to me also, but earlier part of my career, most of the people were younger than me. That changed the whole dialogue and how I looked at people, And I think that was very important thing. The other thing you talked about, mentors.
Mentors.
Yeah, mentor is somebody you definitely need. He or she might not be in your direct line of, sort of reporting. You find somebody who has time, who has the intellect also to challenge and give you some sort of in-depth, and you have trust with him to open up. Multiple mentors in entire scheme of things remain there. I don't want to just name a few people, but there were multiple people there, and somebody gave me direction to read business books. Somebody gave me direction to understand beyond work things, read about space, which I read a lot. Other things. There are other interests which are also very important, which bring that balance in your life. So the mentors were not just only on the business side, but mentors for some of the life skills which were required. So those were there also.
So I think from the life skills aspect, I think the lessons here are the importance of relationships and networks.
Absolutely.
And I think the earlier you start, maybe you start at LUMS, and then those are lifelong relationships. And for your interest in space, we'll schedule a separate session on Star Wars and take it from there. But staying on the subject of leadership, so we talk about leadership styles, right? And people talk about hero leaders and champion leaders and charismatic leaders and bureaucratic leaders. What kind of a leader are you in terms of style?
So definitely collaborative. I believe in using my team, giving people who work under me space to perform, trusting them, and obviously you select a good team also. So I'm a little bit choosy about who comes and works for me, because that doesn't mean that I sort of fire people. Then you need to mentor people also who are a little bit not up to your mark, let's say. You work more strongly, more effectively with them. But once you have selected a good team, then you need to really perform. And I look at performance in a box of about 3 years. So I always talk about doing a role in a fast changing world. You need to look at, it can't be a performance without any schedule, you know. So
Right.
being an engineer, schedule is important for me. So I look at 3-year
Window.
window of performance, because 4th year people are looking for other roles, they get bored, you know. So how do you really put everything in a 3-year block?
But you're measuring them, giving them feedback,
I'm giving them all of those, you know.
and
So-
coaching them.
and coaching them. Coaching is extremely important because at times, as I said, they are very smart already. So you believe that they can outperform you. But what you can share with them is your experience, you know, and some of the things which have worked for you. Now, experience is only what worked for you or what did not work for you also. And I think one of the key lessons is also what did not work for you. That also helps. you know.
Learning from mistakes.
Mistakes.
And I think a related lesson, and I think it's important for our students to know, is because many of our business graduates are often sort of in a rush to climb the corporate ladder faster, but it's a process and a journey. So you mentioned a 3-year window. It might be different in different
Might be 5 years.
organizations. But
Well, I think just a question.
Go ahead.
People want to go for. But just let me
Yeah,
ask a question
go
from
ahead.
audience also. How many CEOs do you think are successful? What is the success rate of a CEO? That's the key thing.
That's a good
Because you
question.
normally look at a position, but were they successful? Is the key question.
Okay.
You know, just becoming CEO is not. It's not an ego trip. You know, you are supposed to perform there, and eventually, you know, for your own satisfaction, be considered as a successful CEO. You'll be surprised.
Anybody want to volunteer and answer? Would you like to? Yes, sir.
Sir.
My name is Mohammed Ali. I'm technical advisor of National Karachi. I have been working in multinational companies more than 20 years in National Power England, everything. So the problem in our country, what I have observed, in organizations, Pakistani organizations don't want to have a mindset for training of their peoples working in their organizations, particularly software training, leadership, management, decision making, motivation, so many trainings on soft skills. This is not the mindset of our, although Engro Power is, I am proud to see the Engro group, which I remember they manage health safety environment in Karachi forum, and they invited me. So Engro Power is little bit working with the multinational company patrons. The problem is in our country, in our organizations, people don't have the habits to train their peoples on these soft skills. How to make leaders? It doesn't mean the students come up leaders. When they come in organization, join organization.
Sir, can I interrupt? Do you have a question? Because
Yes.
this comment could take a
yeah,
long
this is
time.
my
We want to be
question. This is-
respectful of everybody's
Yes,
time.
yes.
Please.
We need to have some sorts of brainstorming, let's say, like other organizations, banks, everything. Every organization, they should manage trainings on skills trainings, on jobs trainings, on particularly leadership trainings.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. I think it's a pertinent point. I have a little bit of a departure from what organizations are supposed to do. Now with so much of material available online for free, and one of the things which we are trying to encourage our employees now to do is online courses, Coursera and others, and we're keeping a tab, and we made that platform available to people. We said, do it for yourself, because employment for life is not, people like us are basically dinosaurs, because people working for one company, and I don't think so. The life is not going to do. The future generation sitting here is not going to do.
No.
So most important is, do you have understanding to look for what is important? Availability of courses, believe you me, is there. I mean, you don't have to go to a company to tell you that you have to learn certain skill on leadership, because a lot of these courses are available online also. And some of those things you will have to practice and learn through practice only. Nobody can teach you in a classroom.
Right.
A lot of that stuff also.
So moving on, so you're CEO, you have responsibilities to maximize shareholder value. I'm sure you're thinking about earnings per share, quarterly calls.
Yeah.
But you have a broader responsibility to society, right? I looked at your Engro Foundation. You have really noble aims, like shared value. You talked about sustainability and scale, understanding impact. How do you bring life to them? How do you give meaning to these goals?
So I'll give you one example. When people talk about CSR,
Mhm.
people talk about generally in Pakistani context, and extremely important. I'm not saying that it's generally limited to education and health.
Right.
Now, believe you me, we were looking at the Engro Foundation, and we found out that there is a species in Pakistan which exists only in Pakistan, and that is going to be extinct. And that this is the Indus dolphin. 1800 Indus dolphins are right now between Kalabagh and Sakhar Barrage. We said we will fund this project. We will adopt this species and we're going to work very aggressively to save. Now, this is also a legacy or part of the sort of ecosystem of Pakistan. So CSR is not just focused on people,
Right.
but it has to be much broader than, it has to have environment, it has to have other species which are part of this sort of geography, and I think that kind of broadens the whole approach of where the corporations go and help the government.
Right.
So I'm just giving you one example that those 1800 blind dolphins, if they become 3,000 and they are preserved, it'll be for the future generations of Pakistanis.
Preserving biodiversity as well as
Biodiversity is
the
as
heritage.
important. Heritage.
Yeah.
So I think corporates have access to funds which shareholders, and in the end it is the shareholders which allow us to spend on good causes like this.
Right.
Because in the end it has to come from the shareholder. Maximizing profit definitely is one of your key drivers, but in the process you are developing capabilities of the teams you have. You are creating a very large pool of human resource, well trained, which is available to you widely in the country or even abroad. So you're creating. So one of the things which I really value is that we as an organization are giving dividends to our shareholders, but we are creating a fabulous, human resource of Pakistan also.
And a social dividend.
Well,
Back to
social,
society.
employees, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about the CSR part, but people who come and work for us, they become one of the better professionals of this country. We train them well, they have better opportunities to move forward in life, So that's another thing which we look at. Some of this money, if available, can be spent for social causes, as I just shared with you. And last but not least is also you also become, because of your stature, a voice or an ambassador of Pakistan when you're outside. Because we do go out abroad, we interact, and you bring a positive name to the country when you go out as a corporate also. So there is a Pakistan image which is developed by our government. I'm sure they are trying their level best, but as Pakistanis, when we go out, and I think Razak Saab is very much sitting here, and he knows this Dubai one. So I think it was the expo. I mean, everybody who went there, and I think Pakistani corporates helped build that stall. And I think I've been going to lots of these, sort of expos and others. And Pakistan's, unfortunately, stall is the most sorry state.
Right.
I remember in the COP, Ethiopia had some better presentation and outlook in Paris than Pakistan. And I think under your leadership, anybody who went to Dubai, and we went multiple times, Razak Saab was also there, everybody came back so proud of that achievement. And one of the narratives was that this is not a country which was made in 1947, it's a 9,000-year-old civilization. So as a Pakistanis, we don't even know that it's a 9,000-year-old civilization which we are living. I mean, so that corporates can make that difference. I was also surprised that I was heading a joint venture that national days of most of these other countries which have presence in Pakistan are not done by their governments. The embassies actually take funding from, so if it's a Dutch National Day or some other, it's generally donated, that entire function is donated by the companies of those countries in Pakistan.
I had no idea.
Yes, I didn't have an idea. I realized later that, some of these European countries, when they have their national days, it's not funded by the government of that country, but by the multinationals operating in that country where that national day is being celebrated and funded by the companies. Because we don't have any multinationals out of Pakistan, so all of this is in the end left in the lap of the government, which obviously have so many priorities.
So great examples, but sticking to the theme of leaders as drivers of social change, there's a whole global focus now on EDI, equity, diversity, inclusion. And I just want to give a little plug for LUMS and then get your views. So on the issue of gender diversity, we are doing a number of very innovative things, including very generous scholarships to women in the MBA program. That we have the Saida Waheed Gender Initiative, which is researching on gender equity and gender diversity issues. We have an Office of Inclusion and Accessibility, which is carefully monitoring gender-related issues. What are you as a leader doing to promote gender?
So I look at gender in two boxes. I'll be very honest. I mean, if you really, obviously, it's diversity which we are looking for. What we lack is women leaders. That's one problem. So women in senior roles. It's not the numbers which matter. It's you have more women in management committees, on boards will make more difference. So even one woman sitting in those leadership positions has a more profound impact than 5 young females who work for you. And the second one, which I feel very important, is the blue collar roles. The girls who never went to university, who have education, and we are doing very little for them. Formal corporate sector is not attracting non-graduate girls, the blue collar roles.
Right.
And even the contractual roles, very few women are working.
And are you being proactive
So
as a
that's
company?
an area where we have the most effort now.
Okay.
We got to bring in roles where we have 0 women, which are primarily shop floor. Blue collar roles primarily have no women. Recruit enough women. You bring in a lot of young women to work for you, but then you don't have an ecosystem which supports them through all the choices which they have to make in the life, and they just drop out. So we are now very actively looking at women to become more in leadership roles. So that means we got to really create an ecosystem where they stay on.
Right.
And the bright ones, if they stay on, they will definitely go and outshine. My current CFO is a woman, which is the second most important position in the company. And if the society, when you see in a well-functioning society where there's equality of gender, or a well-functioning household even, you see that how well it is working. So if that, what we know as society, that it can work, when you give that opportunity to women in decision-making roles, that's where it's really important, because a lot of focus is on numbers. I think rather than numbers at the right places is more important. And obviously the sheer number probably will go up. That also is very important, But I think there's a very large, because young, educated Pakistani women are as good. I mean, you can see this room. None of these women came through a quota or something. They came on merit. They will outshine. What happens when they come into professional lives, when they have some serious choices they have to make. Now, when those choices come in, the entire ecosystem is not supporting them.
Yep.
So that's one area where I think the real thing is that how many in the board, how many in the management or executive committee, how many are general managers. These are the numbers which are really the important numbers,
Great.
And then I think rest will fall through. I mean, if you have enough people sitting there, the voice is there. Unfortunately, even if you have a lot of women in a company in terms of sheer number, like 40%, but the voice is not there, then it doesn't make a difference.
The voice is important.
The voice is most important.
Sir, you had a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sir, Assalamualaikum, sir.
Right, Sam.
In your previous talk, you said that we
Okay, we can have another question and then I can answer.
Sure, go ahead, and we'll cluster the two. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, welcome, sir. My name is Ahmed Kirmani. I'm a chemical engineering senior here in Syed Babur School of Science and Engineering. I wanted to ask what contribution did your chemical engineering career have in your current position as CEO of Engro Polymer and Chemicals?
Okay. So I'll answer. I mean, I don't have the answer like fully. I mean, I'm not sort of going to why certain societies have, and it's not West only. You know, Japan, China, Southeast Asia. And now India. Unfortunately, we are just a giant is waking up right next to us. I really feel that way personally, and I was having a chat with Razak sir. I think India, learn from India. Don't go to West. Just learn how quality of education, institutions like LUMS, 30 in Pakistan can make a difference. If IITs, I don't know how many they are now, 7, 8, they change the world. I mean, for India and what profound impact. So imagine if there were 8 LUMS in Pakistan, how much of an impact that would be. So I think these centers of excellence are like an engine, you know. So you see a railway engine, you know, this 3,000 horsepower. It's pulling the entire train with all that load, you know. We need that 3,000 horsepower. If you look at a railway, अगर आप जाके देखें ना ट्रेन को, तो साइज इंजन का उतना ही होता है जितना पीछे वाली कैरेज का होता है. But the horsepower is what will make the difference. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, we do not have that 3,000 horsepower which will pull the entire train. That's what is missing. And I think what has differentiated West is those universities, the Cambridges and Stanfords and in India IITs, and maybe in China now they're saying they're coming up.
Yeah.
We don't have enough of those. I mean, you have sheer population. Who's going to pull? That's the problem.
Sir, the same problem I'm facing recent days because my sister wants to do law and society or family is not giving her permission to do such kind of things, and I am fighting on a single role for her. So what should we have to that the main thing you have mentioned about that women empowerment, how we can do that?
So I told women who come and work for us, you know, and I said that what has evolved over, you know, maybe thousands of years, one gender took a much stronger position. That realization is a change which is happening for last 50, 60 years. ठीक है? हजारों साल से एक gender ने became much more stronger and dominated the second, you know, the other gender. The balance will take some time. That's what I said. Have patience. It's not going to change overnight because that was done thousands of years. It took thousands of years of, you know, in how society has functioned. You can't change in a day. So women who are now making a place for them are not doing because there's quotas there. It's sheer talent which is bringing them up there. And as I said earlier also, unfortunately still not enough women have come to the decision making level. The more they are sitting on the table and they have a voice, things will change very fast. I can tell you that. I've seen it in my personal professional life. More women sitting in places where they have a voice is changing things like light speed, I'm telling you. That's the kind of impact it has. Unfortunately, sheer numbers, no. Right places.
So we're coming to the end. I got my marching orders from our organizers. So I want to take you back to the conversation you and I had last week, in which you mentioned authenticity. And I want to maybe end on that note. What makes an authentic leader? Is it part of the DNA? Is it a learned skill? And how do you bring that to life in your everyday work routines?
So I think authenticity is also kind of, when you lack that, there's some fears also. Fear of saying something wrong, fear of doing something wrong. I personally feel that is one of the fears you have to give up. Right? I mean, you're not going to be right every time. You're not going to be politically right always, you know. I mean, but I think people are smart enough now. I mean, we're living through a social revolution, communication, people will figure out what you're saying. Is it authentic or it was crafted for their ears, So say what you feel like. Yes, you have to control. I'm not saying say things, but I think
Not unfiltered.
well, I think to some level of unfilteredness has to be there.
Okay.
Otherwise, people will figure out that this is a very politically correct statement which is being made. So I think that's one area where a lot of young people need to, focus is fear of failure, fear of saying something wrong, fear of doing something wrong. All of us have done that. Don't worry. Don't worry. All of us had our falls. It's more important to pick yourself from that fall. All of us did things which we regretted later, but realization that that was a regrettable act. And all of us said certain things which we regretted later, Those things, that's part of the human, package which you have.
Frailties.
Yeah, frailties. And you come with that. There's no correction there, But I think be authentic. I personally feel that makes much more approachability. People trust you more. There is what you see is what you get, is more important rather than you see something and you get something else,
Great.
Thank
you. That's a great note to end on. I do want to thank you. It was
you
a
very
privilege having spoken to you, and thank you for being so open and sharing your insights. Thank you to the audience for being so engaging. Thank you to the organizers for putting together such a seamless event. I would like to invite our Pro-Chancellor, Mr. Razak Daud, to say a few words, if you would.
Yes, sir.
Better.
I think what we heard from you today was simply wonderful. You gave some very, very good points, particularly on women empowerment. I fully agree. It's not numbers, it's at the decision-making level where it comes, and you bring that out so well. Your own ideas on leadership, participative style. You've come out and come through as a very genuine leader, and I thank you for all the things that you said. It was honestly wonderful to hear from you. Yes, I think Engro is certainly Engro is a company that brings out a lot of good corporate managers, men and women, and that's a tribute to you people as leaders of that corporation. I hope you keep in touch with us at LUMS. We would love to have you more on our campus, and so our students can drain from your vast knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I think we have a little memento of your visit, which we would invite. Oh, sorry.
Dr. Saab, a few words from you. There's nothing for free.
Yeah, come.
I just want to echo my thanks, first of all. It's been delightful to have you speak so openly, and thank you, Mac, for facilitating such a nice
My pleasure.
session. I'm particularly struck by this new format that I think we sort of experimented with, and I think we're going to keep it.